Mirz Hashem, the Divrei Torah that we learn should be a schus, a refuah shlema.
What's the name again?
Yanai Ben Chaya Elisheva. So Shem, it should be a refuah krova level. Okay, so I really wanted to start up. There's a fascinating sugya on Chav Zayin that we have to get to. We'll see if we get to it before Shavuos. But there was a few different important inyanim that I really still wanted to just make sure to cover on the bottom of Chavav Amud Beis. So the Gemara says, if you remember, we were talking last week about a very, very important sugya about this chashid al arayis. So we had a whole ganze machlekes. We shown him what is the chashid, what did he do, and why would he be kosher, why would he be puzzle, how does that stem with other Gemaras of Arayos that seem to passel. So Taisus made distinction of Yitzro Takfo, it's psychological distinctions. So that was the way we came out. And then we came out La'alacha. The last thing we did last week was the discussion that even if you say that it would be kosher la'edus, that's for other edus, but for edus Isha it wouldn't. And then we had a separate discussion about what about Mishum Iguna, what happened about Meis Baila, because we had a Diak and Rashi that even Meis Baila, although not everyone was convinced based off of this Rashi, which would be a very, very relevant halacha lamaisa in terms of soldiers in the army that are not necessarily makbid on these halachos, whether or not you could be makel on their testimony. That's what we left off with last week. So one of the statements that the Gemara says is from Rav Sheshes, when Rav Nachman said, "Ha-choshid al arayis kosher le'edus," a person who's choshid al arayis is kosher le'edus. So the Gemara says, Rav Sheshes was very bothered by that. Rav Sheshes says, how could you say that? Amar Rav Sheshes, Ani Mari, respond to me, tell me the answer. Arboin bekatve v'kosher? So again, I pointed out, Arboin bekatve is a lashon of Malkus. So it's fascinating that Malkus is not really 40. I think it's one of the Mefarshim in the back of the Masech, in the back of the... Arboim Yakenu is not, the Gemara Makkah says, it does not mean, right, so why, so you're saying he's just using the lashon of the pasuk. Oh, so, it's one thing for a pasuk to be, there's a siba why the Torah.
Malchus Arboim also, we don't say Malchus Shloshim V'Seisha.
I hear. So if you look, the Paris Yosef here in the back boxes over here, I just saw right before the shir. Efshir Mishum Der Yehuda Sirle Makas Meseches Makas Davchav Arboim Shleimas Huleike. There are some shitas that actually get 40. So he's saying maybe it's an interesting shot. So I thought maybe it fits well. I can't remember. I think I saw once. I think there are sources for this that it could be Makas Mardis. There is a din of 40 when it comes to Makas Mardis. So if you learn like those Rishonim that it's not real Makas because it's Loitoiva Shmu, and it's not really because of the Araya Shabo, so then maybe that's his lashon. But however you slice it, Rav Sheshes is making a very important statement over here, which is something that we really haven't given enough time to analyze, which we need to talk about after we've been spending so many months speaking about Psula Edis in the third parak of Sanhedrin. What was Rav Sheshes bothered by? Arboin bekatve v'kosher? However you want to say it, the way he phrased the Arbaim or whatever, Lamaisi is saying, the guy's getting Malkus and you're going to be Machshir him? So what does that mean? So if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, you have the printout?
Yep.
Oh, shkaich. So if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, it's not too bad. Yeah, well, at least for the Shulchan Aruch. The Gra is going to get bad. Yeah. Ezehu Rasha, look at Siv Beis. Ezehu Rasha, Siv Beis in Simon Lamed is where all the Psulei. This is Ezehu Rasha. Kol she'aver aver shechayav and alea malchus. So the Shulchan Aruch passes, this is Lashon Hara, he's quoting Lashon Rambam, very important halacha. What is the most important, litmus test on whether or not a person is going to be pasal la'edis? Did the lav that he evaluated, did it carry malchus and einish of malchus with it? Ezu Rasha Kol Shavar Aver Ter Shechayev and Aleh Malchus. Where did that come from? There is no Gemara, to the best of my knowledge, that says that. Beferish, that Psule Edis, we all quote it. We always, whenever we talk, is a guy Pasal Edis or he's Kosher Edis? Question, Does he have Malchus or not? With one exception. What exception is that? Basically, we spoke about at length. What exception? No. What exception? A Goslin. A Goslin is Pasal Eidus. Does the Goslin have Malchus? No, because he can. It's an Efshel Hashiv, right? It's a Nitam L'Tashlumin. But a Goslin is a what? Is a Rasha Dechamas. So a Rasha Dechamas, that's beferish in the Torah that he's Pasal. That's going to be on its own. That's even Rava's Chumrah, that only a Rasha of Chamas is the only Rasha. And if you eat non-kosher, Rava says on Chav Zayin, we learned last week, holds you're going to be kosher because there's no Chamsin, there's no. But Abaye, we paskin against Rava, we paskin Abaye holds, every Rasha is Pasal. But what type of Rasha? Zok the Rambam, Zok the Shulchan Aruch, not every Rasha, but a Rasha that has Malchus. Where did that come from? How do we know that a guy who is over a lav of Lashon Hara, right? A guy who's over Lo Selech Rachli, he's over a lav. He opens up a Chavetz Chaim and he's over tons of lavim. Unfortunately, we really have to be mechazik. We have to open up Chavetz Chaims and we have to realize being over many lavim every time we open our mouths. So why aren't you Pasal Eidus? Why are you allowed to be an Eid at a Chasam? What's the reason? So the Rambam says, Alav Sheish Bo Malchus. So if you look at the Goin, in the Bir Hagra, yeah, WhatsApp it is. That's it. I'm done with texts. Yeah. You see the bays? It's 4 lines down. Abe, you're going to have to help me as much as we can to navigate this. Over Avera, good. It's in boldface. Kain Mashma Losher Ramam de Le'el. Visham. Sanhedrin. Oni Mar Arboim Bekatfe. Dafka. Where does the Rambam get the source? The Yesod of our Perek, that only a lav sheyesh bo malchus is one that pasels, is what? Is from this diak of the Gemara. It's unbelievable. It was a response of a Rav Sheshes to Rav Nachman. You hold a choshen la'arayis is kosher? How could it be? Says Rav Sheshes in a fancy lingo. Arboim bekatve v'kosher? Says the Rambam, says the Goin, the Rambam saw there's a linkage between lavim and malchus. Means I could be over a lav, and if I didn't have malchus in that lav, so then I would be kosher. All Abaye says on Chav Zayin is that a Rasha is also a pasal, even if it's not a Rasha the Chamas. A mummer ochel nevelas, he eats nevelas, he's also pasal. But Abaye never told us that you need Malchus. It's only this Gemara that the Rambam saw that you need Malchus. And then the Goyin goes on to say, the diak, let's make this a little, v'diak mimasnisin disnan v'hamalva beribis. So says the Goyin, and the Rambam was answering a Bam Kasha based on this. The Rambam was saying, why is it that the milva beribis is not posel midoraisa? Who asked this kasha? This is Tosfos kasha. Tosfos is standing on his head. He wants to know why isn't a milva beribis posel eidis? So Tosfos has different diukim, right? So maybe it's only ribis derabanan. Maybe it's not ribis deraisa, right? We go back to that big Tosfos on Chav Dalet and Beis, right? All of the things Tosfos says in the Mishnah are only psulim derabanan. Right, what's the diak? Because Goslin's not in the Mishnah. So these are all Mesach B'Kubiyos, all of them are only Pasal Midrabanan. So says Tosfos, Milva Beribis, Ma'ir Beribis Sheina Ktutza. Milva Beribis is talking about a Ribis Derabanan. It's Ribis that wasn't stipulated at the time of the loan. It's past week's parsha. Ribis that was added on later, just at the payment. That would only be rabbinic Ribis. That wouldn't be Ribis. That wouldn't be biblical Ribis. Afilu Ma'ir Beribis Ktutza. And even if you want to say that the Mishnah is talking about Ribis Ktutza, says Tosfos, Loi mashma iser kaven demidaite yoiv. What does Tosfos say? It's not mashma that there's an iser, and that's why it's not biblical that you're going to be apostle, because the person's giving the Ribis willingly. It's not against his will. He needed the money, and he agreed to this, and therefore he's giving it to you. So therefore what? Loi mashma sha'avar isur. He's not mashma that he's over an iser. Rabbi Isai, what's the implication from Taisus? Says the Goin, apparently the Rambam disagreed and understood there was a very simple reason why a malva beribis is kosher le'edus on a level de'oraisa. It's because it's missing something essential. What's he missing? Arboy mikatve. That's what you need to be puzzle for. That's the litmus test for being puzzle and not Torah. Now you want to explain to me why it's only puzzle derabbanan? The Rambam has a simple explanation. Comes out, Tosfos who had to work on that, Tosfos who had to find out a reason why milva beribis is only puzzle derabbanan, is not puzzle and not Torah. Could be Tosfos holds there is no such klal that a Russian needs malchus. Maybe every lav mida oraisa, unless you can find another rationale like Tosfos builds on, of a leimashmale isure. People don't think psychologically that this is usher. Kaven to be daito kiyav, since they're giving the ribis willingly. Fundamentally, the way a person becomes pasula edus is what? He violates a lav. He violates a lav. This Tosfos is not paskin the Shulchan Aruch. But the Shulchan Aruch and the Goyin is saying the Rambam was medayik that from both our Gemara and from the Kasha that the Rishonim had to work on. Why are all the items that were enumerated in the Mishnah only pasum d'Rabbanan, not pasum d'Oraisa? So the Rambam had a simple answer to that question. So this is a very, very important Gemara in terms of how we paskin la'alacha on what is on the list for psule edus. In connection to this topic, there is a fascinating Piskei Tshuva here that's a little less difficult to read, but not so much. It's in Sif Katan Dalet. There is a very, very famous Tumim, Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz, in his Sefer Urim V'Tumim. In his Sefer Urim V'Tumim on Choshen Mishpat, Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz wrote on Yeridea, the Sefer Kresi Uplesi. He wrote on Choshen Mishpat Urim V'Tumim. He wrote in Machshava. He wrote the Yaris Dvash. Then he wrote different Svarim al Torah and Anach. So the Nefesh Yonasan, and so the in the Tumim he has the following shaila. Ayin B'Tumim Sif Katan Aleph Shekasav is a very important Tumim. What happens? Nira, what happens? Dechol lav shenitan la'azharas misas bezdin. What happens if you have quirks in halacha? There are many different reasons why, in a situation, a person could get off the hook from malchus. What happens if you have an aveira that's a lav shenitan la'azharas misas bezdin? That same lav also gets misas bezdin sometimes. What's an example of a lav shenitan la'azharas misas bezdin? She'ein loikin a lav that you won't get malchus for. Mechamer on Shabbos. Person works his animal, who's over a lav. In theory, there's no misa for mechamer. But since the lav that I'm violating is Chilul Shabbos, which is the same lav for the 39 misa prohibitions, so the Gemara in the end of Masechah Shabbos says that's an example of a lav shanitan la'azharas misas bezdin. That's a lav that's given also for misas bezdin. Such a lav is not able to get malchus. Malchus was given dumya de leisachsom, and therefore this lav is not like that. Lo sachsom, to muzzle an animal, is just muzzling an animal. There's nothing else included in that lav. There's nothing else extrapolated from that lav for other misas bezdins. Such a lav would get malchus, but not lav shenitan la'azharas misas bezdin. So there's a klal. If this lav can give misas bezdin, there's no malchus. So that's the Tumim. Says he kosher le'edus. Because technically what? According to the Rambam, he doesn't get malchus. Says Mechadish the Tumim, a big chiddush. Says the Tumim, no. He thinks that this klal doesn't, it's not an automatic test. Did you get lashes or did you not get lashes? It depends why you didn't get lashes. Says the Tumim, Mikol makom nifsal. Even if you don't get malchus, like Machamer, our example, Mikol makom nifsal, this is not because there is a leniency in the prohibition. It's not like, oh, that's not a serious lav, he didn't get malchus. Adarabba, rak l'choymer iser. The reason why you're not getting Malkus over here is because this is heavy duty material. This is the real McCoy. This is something that the same Isser will get you into Mises Bezdin. Rak l'choymer Isser. So then says the Tumim. So what about the Chain Lavanita Klaese? What about what? Bal Yira Bal Yimotze, right? Bal Yira Bal Yimotze. Well, that might have another issue but it has the ability to do an essay to be menatic the lav. We have a klal that what? If you're over a lois essay, right? If let's say a person I don't know, first thing comes in, what? So Nosar is not a great example, and that's Bal Yira Bal Yimotze is a questionable example depending on the Rishonim. It's Machlek is the Chinuch and the Rambam, but Nosar would be another reason why you don't get Malkus. Why wouldn't Nosar get Malkus? And this will apply to the Tumim. Oh, excellent. It's a Lav Shem B'Maisa. So Nosar is going to not get is not going to be puzzle because of a what? That would register as a Kalus. L'chora, that would be a Kalus, right? That's what the Tumim is going to go on to say. What's the reason Nosar doesn't get Lav? Even though you're right. Nosar has a nitik la'esei. It has sarov tisravenu, but the problem is it's a lav shem b'maisa. So then I think it wouldn't get nifsal because there is a kula in that lav. The reason why there's no malchus. But let's say a person who seduces a woman or rapes a woman, and the Torah says you have to marry her. And then the Gemara talks about what happens if you divorced her. So the Gemara says, the Gemara says you have a mitzvah to be machzir her. So that's a lav anitik la'esei. I did a lav, and then I have an anitik la'esei. So then he thinks that that's not necessarily indicative of the lav not being chomer. The fact that you now have a mitzvah's essay to be metakin it, to be menatik it, that doesn't mean that the lav was not severe. So therefore, he doesn't think that a lav anitik essay would be a reason why you wouldn't get malchus. And that's why, by the way, the halacha of Gezel is not a classic lav anitin essay. It's a lav anitin l'tashlumin. That's a different klal. So that is a kula in the alav. So then he goes on to say, Havlav Shem Maisa, like you said, Kaven de Kaimel and de Inloikalav, V'hula Kalas Ha'inyan. That's a leniency, right? Then he wouldn't become Pasal Minat Torah. This is a fascinating discussion on all the different halachas that we learn about when a person gets malchus, when a person doesn't get malchus. So you're going to have to break it down. Is that because of a leniency or is that because of a chomer adavar? What was the rationale of the Torah when the Torah said you don't get malchus, which now will have halachic implications, halacha lemaisa, whether or not this person could be an aid at your chasana. It's a fascinating, this Yontif coming up, it's a fascinating Pri Megadim brings up in his Psicha Koilez. He brings up the Shaila, a person cooks for a goy on Yontif. Person has a goy over, he invites one of his people he works with, whatever, has him over on Yontif, and he cooks food for him. It's usher to have the person over even if it doesn't cook food, because the Gemara says Gzeira Shema Yarba Bishvila, it's a Gemara in Beitza. And then the Gemara says, but Avad, if a person doesn't have cooked and he's going to cook for him, so then the Gemara says that it's an Issa D'Oraisa, Lachem, the din of Ochel Nefesh is Lachem v'loy la'akum. What?
Just for him?
What do you mean?
He's cooking for him and the Jews, or just the guy?
I threw in an additional piece of steak because he came in. So that's Lachem v'loy la'akum. That's an Issa D'Oraisa. If I prepared before, I had extra meat.
I know I'm getting the guest, right?
If I just cook everything, Riboy B'Shirim on Yontif is mutter.
Yeah.
But the Rabbanan, even if you didn't do the law, the Rabbanan held you're not allowed to have a guest over. You're not allowed to have a guy on Yontif. If you have to invite a guy, it's ironic. If you have to invite a guy, you should invite a guy on Shabbos, not on Yontif. That's a serious issue. And the shilas really get complicated. We have these shilas that come up all the time. Every single gerus, the shilah comes up because it's a catch-22. You want the ger to learn about the Seder. You want the ger to witness everything, to understand what it means to be in the Yontif home, but on the same time, I can't invite you.
Tell them to bring them
I
up.
can't. So what I tell them just knock on the door. Say, Shalom Aleichem, I'm coming in.
Just show up.
Just show up, go in there, and then we'll test if the people in the community actually have midas and they're going to open the door. It was a question I once had. Is a person in Far Rockaway once called me. There was a suffix in the gerus and it was a couple, and it was a question whether or not. So there's whatever I was makel for with a few different studim. Once the person is b'di'evid invited, the bir halacha has a kula mishum eva. If people are going to get upset, b'di'evid. But these are serious issues that people have to realize.
Cook for them, or?
No. To not call them and say don't come. But they're serious shilas that come up. Why am I talking about this? So the Pri Megadim wants to know if a person cooks for a goy on Yontif, is he puzzle to be an Eid at a chasana? Person who's not makbid on this halacha, he invites goyim over and he does malacha for a guy. It doesn't have to be cooking, by the way. It could be doing a malacha, any one of the malachas for a guy, or to be honest, it could be doing a malacha for an animal. For anything that wasn't in the heter of ochel nefesh. I don't know, chveis, you're carrying, whatever. You're doing something that you do a malacha that you would assume would be mutter. Everywhere they carry on Yontif. Carrying is nechshav to be totally mutter on Yontif, and it's not true. You need the specific rules and regulations. I've told the shul many times. I was once in a hotel, and they were after Shabbos. They took down the Erev, and I said, "Don't do that. Why are you taking down the Erev? On Yontif, you're also going to need an Erev. What happens if a person wants to keep his keys in his pocket? What happens if a person is carrying now outside and he has a newspaper there, but he's not using it? He has no tzorech right now for any of these things, and he's not emptying out his pockets. He's not checking himself. So Liesa says, leave the Erev up. What are you gaining by now taking down the Erev? Now, it could be now without any cheshbonos. A person could walk without thinking twice, like he thinks, because he thinks that Yontif there's no problem to carry. It's not true. There are malachos on Yontif, but there are heterim l'tzarech ochel nefesh or l'tzarech hayom, whatever it is. But for a guy, the Torah says beferish lachem la'akum that there's no heter of ochel nefesh. So the Pri Megadim wants to know: are you puzzle or not? So this is a lamda shayla. The shayla is a machlikas Taisus in the Rambam. When the Torah says lachem la'akum, what's the nature? The Torah says you're allowed to use the Pasuk Parshas Bo says that you're allowed to cook lachem l'chol tzarchechem. You're allowed to use for yourself lachem v'loy la'akum. So we're medayik from the pasuk of lachem. It's for you and not for a guy. So now says the Pri Megadim, says a machlokes rishonim. How do you learn this isser? Is it an isser called lachem? There's an isser asay called lachem, and therefore I violated that deraisa, or no? Says Tosfos, perhaps it's what's called ahadre liisura kama. It gets plugged back in as if what? There's never a heter to begin with. Meaning, it goes back to the original lav of doing malacha on Yontif. What's the lav of doing malacha on Yontif? You're not allowed to cook on Yontif. You're not allowed to do malacha on Yontif. Just like there's 39 malachas on Shabbos, there's 39 malachas on Yontif. Okay, you have some heterim on Yontif. But if it's outside of the world of heterim, says Taisus, so now you go back to the original Isser. Taisus has this discussion about bringing a carbon nedava on Yontif. Maybe you go back, maybe you're going to be pasal edus, because now you did bishul, now you did havara on something that there's no heter. If I don't have a heter, it's not a new isser called lachem elo la'akum. It's rather a hadre li'isurakam. It's as if there was never a heter to begin with, and guess what? I violated a lav. Comes along the Pri Megadim and he says, this lumdis is going to be an afkamina in Hilchos Edus. It's going to be an afkamina whether or not a guy who does malacha on Yontif for a guy, who cooks for Yontif for a guy, is he over a lav sheish b'malchus? Is he not over a lav sheish b'malchus? What is it? Is it a hadri l'surakama, or is it a new isser like what we're discussing over here? Good. So that's all from a brief line, says the guy in our Gemara discussing this issue of a choshed al arayis. Just parenthetically, it's interesting to note, if you learn, like the pshat earlier, that it was just a malchus alotova shmua, right? The guy he didn't really violate any isurim. But what happens? We give him makas mardis because we're not happy with this, right? That was one of the pshatim that we learned, right? 2 days in Taisus, machlokes rishonim, how we learned. So it's ironic, meaning this isn't even the classic malchus. This isn't even the classic malchus, and that is the source for Shulchan Aruch, that only a lav sheyesh bo malchus is the lav that's going to passel you. Meaning, if you understand that this person violated Isurim, but if you understand that it's a deterrent, it's just a makas mardis, it's ironic that type of malchus is going to be the source for all lavim that they have to have a real bona fide malchus. Just a hara. Okay, Let's go weiter. So then the Gemara says, a new sugya. Amar of Nachman, Ganav Nisan, v'Ganav Tishrei, Lo Shmei Ganav. If you steal in Nisan, you steal in Tishrei, you're not considered a Ganav. Now, if I'd stop there, I think we'd have a lot of misunderstandings. But we're going to go weiter. Hani mili ba'arisa, v'davar muat, v'davar shenigmar malachto, shenigmar malachto. Ikari de Rav Zvid, chad ganav kaba desari upasle, v'chad ganav kibura da'ane upasle. So let's see what Rashi says over here. Rashi says, Lo Shmei Ganav, Nisan, Zman Kotzer Tishrei, Zman Batzer V'asiv. There are different times that you're harvesting and you're cutting down the sheaves. Lo Shmei Ganav, Kin Nefarish V'azol, Ba'arisa, with a sharecropper, Ditarach Ba, says Rashi, Umore Hetera, Litol Davar Muat, Yoiser Al Chelko, Mipnei Tircha. So what's the pshat over here? Why is it that Arisa is not going to be puzzle? Says Rashi, what's the reason? What? Yeah, but what's the lashon of Rashi? Mora heter. He's mora heter for himself. He's mora heter. I don't think I didn't send you a Rambam, right? So if you look at the back of the Rambam, let's see the Rambam in Tess. Perek Yud Milchos Eidos Halacha Hey. I think you got a different impression. In the back of some of the Gemaras in the Oz V'Hada, they have some of these the Ein Mishpat they put in the back. But I'll read it out loud. Shoftim. Here we go. Perek Yud. No, that's not it. Ganav Nisan Tess. Perek Yud Halacha Hey. Perek Yud Halacha Hey. Oh, I'm in Yud Aleph Hey. Oh, here we go. Here. Yeah, everyone have it? In the Oz V'Hadar, it's Yud Ches by the Rambams. But I'm going to read it out loud for those that don't have it. Listen to the Rambam, okay? Aris, a sharecropper, shalakach davar muat, min ha-peres. He takes a little bit of the fruits, right? He's working on the field. Yeah. Shebichru, that they already blossomed. V'mei Nisan, v'mei Tishrei, in those months. Koidim should tigmar malachtan, until the end of the malacha. Afal pi shalakach shaloi midas bal hasodeh, even though he didn't ask the owner before he took it. Eino gana v'kashel edis. So the Rambam quotes our Gemara's kashel edis. Sheina balasada makbid olav v'chein kol kayotze b'zeh. I'm just going to read the Rambam again. Afal pi shelokach shaloi midas balasada, eino gana v'kashel edis. Shein balasada makbid olav v'chein kol kayotze b'zeh. Rabbi say this is opening up a sugya that you meet probably 20 times a day. Wait, what does the Rambam hold? How does the Rambam learn our Gemara? Again, the Gemara says, Amar of Nachman, Ganav Nisan, Ganav Tishrei, Lo Shmei Ganav, Hani Mili Bam Arisa. It's talking about a sharecropper. V'davar mud, it's not large, it's small. V'davar shenigmar malachto, and what? Rashi says, Davar shenigmar malachto. Demashvin nafshe kepoyo morale ater v'savar lo kapit. It's the end, and it's the end of the work, and that's the story according to Rashi. Good? Rashi says, why? Ba'arisa, did tarachba, he worked hard, he put in a lot of toil. Umore hetera lito davar muad, and he tells himself he's allowed to yoiser al chalkom et beitercho, more than his given amount because of his efforts. But davar shenigmar lachno, when it's specific to a davar that was finished, temashvei nafshe kapoyel umore be'etera v'savar lo kapid. We're talking about in a situation where he views himself as a pile, and therefore psychologically he takes it and he thinks that he's okay to have it. Is there a difference, Rabbi Sai, between the two pshatim that we read? Yeah. What's the difference?
In the Rambam,
So what's the key? What's the nakuda?
The das of the Ghana, the das of the Ars is irrelevant according to the Rambam.
Meaning, what are you according to the Rambam?
You're not a Ghana.
You're not a Ganav. The Rambam says you have Rishus. The Rambam holds you're not a Ganav. According to Rashi, you're a Ganav. You were over Geneva. Guess what? A Chiddush of a Gemara in Sanhedrin on Chavav of Beis. That what? Since you're Meir B'Hetir, we're not going to passel you La'edis. But I want to know a different Shaila. I don't want to learn Hilchas Eidus right now. We had enough of a discussion of Hilchas Eidus at the beginning of this year. But enough of Hilchas Eidus for now. I want to know bottom line. I want to know Halacha L'maisa. Can I use this pen that's left on this table? The Baal Abayis never cares. Adi's a good guy. I know him. He's not around. He's not around. Can I use it? Adi leaves his phone here. I want to make a phone call. Can I do it or not? These are kashas that we have all the time. What's the din? Zok the Machne Ephraim. I do have it. No, I did have it. That last week's, yeah. It was a different location. One second. Before we get to the Machne Ephraim, let's see someone else who's chaylik on this. This is a Taisus and Bam Metzia.
You have to say that Rashi saying
The Gemara in Bam Metzia. What do you say?
you have to say that Rashi saying he is a Ghana.
He's a Ganav, but he's not Pasal
The
Eidus.
other way, according to Rashi saying because he's more heter, we're not going to consider him a Ghana.
No, his psychological. I could be Meir Heter that this is mutter, but like that we're not kovei halacha like that. That's psychologically. That's more like as far as of Taisus, psychologically, you might not have a status now of being Pasal Eidus, but Rashi's never saying it's mutter. He's Meir Heter. He tells himself that it's mutter. So you have such a similar case. The Gemara over here is discussing. This is the sugya in the beginning of the second parak of Bamitzia called Yesh Shalei Midas. Person loses an Aveda, and Abai and a Rava have a machlokes if the Bailam never found out about it. But we know once they find out about it, they lost it in the middle of Times Square. There's no question they're going to be miyash. But Lamaisa, Befoil, there was Yesh Shalei Midas. He doesn't know that he lost it right now. So you let Yesh Shalei Midas. Havi Yesh or Loi Havi Yesh. That's the machlokes. That's the machlokes of Abai and Rav in this Gemara. And the Gemara is trying to give proofs in different areas of halacha. So the Gemara quotes a story in the first of the wide lines. The Gemara says, Mar Zutra Rav Ashi Iklu'u Lubustana Demari Bar Osik. They went to a certain orchard, good, and I say Arise Tamre. So again, we're back to the sharecropper. The sharecropper brought some fruits, virimone, and some pomegranates, v'shada kamayu, and he put it right in front of them. Amemer v'Ravashi achle. So Amemer v'Ravashi, the third line. Amemer v'Ravashi ate it. Mar Zutra loy achel, but Mar Zutra wouldn't eat it. Adahachi asa mari bar isik ashkechidu va'amar leila arise. So when the Balabayas came home, he said, Amailo Isis Luuler Abonon Mehanach Shapirta. Right? When the Rav's around, everyone's from. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't you give him the good stuff? Okay, last week I was asking you for a favor. Why didn't you give him the best things? The Shapirta. Amrlei Amemer Rav Ashi Lamar Zutra. So Amemer and Rav Ashi said to Mar Zutra, Hashta Amailoi Ochel Mar. Wait, why were you eating with us? We ate, why didn't you eat? So he says, the Brisa says if a guy is mafresh truma, right, for someone else, and then he comes back and he says, oh, you should have get klachitz alayafas, you should have given the better ones, that's enough of a halachic authority to say that the truma is good, even though I didn't give you full-fledged rishus beforehand. So too, Ameimar is asking, so we were allowed to eat also. Mar Zutra, why didn't you eat? Amalu hachi amarav lo amar klachitz alayafas elin shuba v'vad b'shem de mitzvahu v'nichle aval hacha misham kisufahu da amar. He's just embarrassed. He didn't really want you to eat his stuff, and therefore I am not going to eat his stuff. So if you look at Taisus here, this Taisus in the bottom of Chav Bezim and Bezim Bamitzia. So Taisus has a lengthy discussion. I'm not going to go through the whole Taisus about what each person held, but in the end of the Taisus says, Rav Ashi lo chashel ze lekach ochel kodim shemar marasik mishum da aris v'daf shekachel The ein lomer shayasoymech sheyisratzim mar. The last line. The ein lomer shayasoymech sheyisratzim mar bar asik kishiyada da aloch ka abaye yavagav da hashta nichle meikar lo ave nichle. Says Taisus, bottom line, the last line of Taisus, since the aloch is like abaye, yeyesh midas lo have yeyesh. And just like in the world of Aveda, if the Bailim were not, they didn't give up hope on the item, and we don't know about their bona fide yesh, we don't know that they were actually miyash, that they gave up hope, it's shalai midas, so too in terms of rishus, using the pen, using the phone, using something that you assume, davar she'eno makbid olav, shitas ha'toisis is that that's aser. Who does Toisis fall in line with? Rashi. It's Machlokes Rashi and the Rambam. So I don't have the whole Shaila. Machne Ephraim in Hilchos Bzeis of Siman Gzela opens up in his second Siman in Hilchos Gzela. Davar she'ein makbid olav ba'ilin. Can you use it shaloi b'rishus? That's the Shaila. That's the Shaila. So says the Machne Ephraim, he wants to be poshed the Shaila from our Gemara. Says from the Rambam, V'aniras daiti nire da Rambam zal lo svir lehachi to behedya kosev perak yud milchos edus. Arish shalakach davar muat min aperis b'yay min nisan. Afal pi shalekech shalei midas balabayis oso gonev v'kosher leedus she'ein balasada makbid olav. Ad kanal shana. Frek the Machne Ephraim. So why does the Rambam say in other places that if I use something that the Bailim wasn't makbid on it and I was mekadesh a woman v'had the kosev hacham mikudeshes misafek? I knew but davar she'enu shava pruta. That's for another totally different reason. That's maybe it wasn't worth a pruta, but in a chanami you have the rishus, something that a person's not makbid on it. You have the rishus to use it, and if it's shava pruta, says the Machne Ephraim and Das Rambam, it would be full-fledged kiddushin. Full-fledged. Let's say that bottle. You don't care about it. You don't care if I use that. I'm a kaddish woman right now. Lamaisa, I want to know, is she married or not? Abe went home, he left his bottle here. I said, it's worth a shava pruta. There's a decent amount of soda in there. I give it to a woman, I'm a kaddish. Am I married or not? According to the Balei Toisus, according to Rashi, I'm not married. According to the Rambam and Das Machne Ephraim, I would be totally married. Totally married. There's a discussion amongst the Poskim, what happens if I'm makbid to some people and I'm not makbid to other people? How do you understand this? Is this hefker, or is it like a matana to me? Because if it's hefker, hefker has to be equal to everyone in the world. The Mishnah says, "Ein hefker la'aniyim o la'ashirim." You can't say I'm mafkir this to the aniyim in the world. Hefker means it's in totality in the whole world. It's accessible to everyone. So if you're understanding it's hefker, so it can't be in a situation where I'm makbid and I say, Abe, I don't mind, I get along with him, but Adi, I don't get along with. He can't have this item. Then it wouldn't work. It would have to be something that I'm not makbid to everyone. Or other achronim, the Avnei Miluim thinks, no, it's a matana. To whoever you're not makbid for, it's a matana to him. It's not a hefker. So therefore it doesn't matter. Even if I'm makbid to some people, I'm not makbid to other people. So that would be something that would be good. And ultimately this could affect serious shilas d'oraisa of whether or not the woman would be married. So this is brought up in the Shach on this din, Choshen Mishpan Hilchos Gneva, on the Aris. No, we're saying for sure you're not makbid. If you're makbid, so then it's not even a question. The question is, no, Rashi's saying even if you're makbid, at the time that you took it, it was the Balabais is not makbid. I don't think the Machlokes Rashi and the Rambam is whether or not the Balabais cares about a few berries. I think everyone agrees over here. It's nigmer malachto. It's davar muat. It's something that the Bailim are not makbid on. It's something that's understood. But there's a technicality here. At the time that you took it, you didn't get permission. You were just moreba hater. So Rashi and what's clear in Taisus in Baba Metzia is that would be depend on the machlokes yesh lamidas lo havi yesh, and therefore you would not be koined. Whether or not you're pasal leidus, I can explain the Gemara in Tanit. You're not pasal leidus because you had a rationale in your head moreba hetera, just like by a milva beribis. But Rashi, if you want to ask Rashi and Shitas HaTaisus B'Metzia Chav Beis, is it mutter for me to use this item? It would not be mutter for me to use this item, whereas, according to the Rambam, it would be mutter, and according to the Machne Ephraim, it would even have an afkamina that you would be mikudeshes. Yeah.
I'm not 100% getting the connection to Yeshua Midas as to why you would equate the two. Like, I feel like if you have a pen, yeah, and generally you let people use the pen. It's like, as I'm not actively thinking about it, but like in the back of my head, this pen's there, you use it, it doesn't make any difference to me. I'm not actively thinking I were to lose this pen in Times Square, then
What's the
someone
difference?
pick it up and
What's the
won't be
difference? What's the difference?
That's like a real additional das that have to be putting in.
What do you mean? When I learned the Gemara Metzia, Itai, I say, Abai said, Yesh lo midas lo av yesh means if halachically, in order for you to acquire ownership of this item, you need something that I didn't present up front, and you're just assuming that without my knowledge, you can't make that assumption. So who cares about the story of whether it was lost or not? It's a halachic requirement. You need my das up front. And until you have that das up front, that's going to be tantamount to yesh lo midas lo av yesh.
It seems like it requires more. I don't know, just the.
Excellent. Good. So what Itai's saying is 100% right, which I wanted to try to drive it. What he's saying is a shach. The shach paskins against Tosfos, and he thinks that don't extrapolate outside of Abaye of yesh lo midas when it comes to Aveda. But the shach explains why. So let's see the shach. Comes along the shach commenting on this din of Aris. Here, Hatoysis of Perak Elam Metzias. It's in the shach on the top. Hatoysis Midivre Hatoysis Perak Elam Metzias. We did this. Daf Chaf Beis Sof Amud Aleph. Vagos Ashri Vagos Mordechai Sham Mavur. De'im Adam Noisin Lechel Chaver Midavar Shenu Shelo Ela Shel Chavero Af B'Shiyadea Chavero Yisratzo. Even though I know, come on, no one's makbid on such an item. Aser Loi Lachlo. You're not allowed to eat it. Don't use Adi's pen. Da Aloch Gabaye. The Yesh Lo Midas Lo Evi Yesh. Even though he comes and he says, the Rabbanim are here. Feed the Rabbanim, give them the yafos, give them the good stuff. Shapirta. Meikar lo yavanichale. It's yesh lo midas. Meikar lo yavanichale. Bilavdim istama ayinu oimer shemuter. V'yesh lo midas shiny. Shegam acher kach eino misyayish el mishum sheini yodeya heichen hu. Ubal korcho hu misyayish. Oh, 1 second. Did I skip something? No, I did say his introduction. Go back. V'ilavdim istafina. This is a drum roll. The shach saying, I'm doing this with a little hesitancy, but I'm going to take on the Balei HaTosfos over here, and we're going to see the shach is going to pass on the kula on the shaila like the Machne Ephraim. V'ilavdim istafina, and he says exactly what Itai was alluding to. Hayisi oimer shemuter. Says the shach, you're allowed to use it shalei b'rishos, even though you don't have das b'foil at that time. Why? Hayisi oimer shemuter. V'yesh lo midas shiny. Don't bother me from yesh, the sugi of Abaye of yesh lo midas. Why? Shegam acher kach einu misyayis eli mishum she'eni yodea heichanu. What's the story of yesh lo midas? Like Itai was saying, that's a story of an Aveda. It's in Times Square. Even afterwards, I say, chaval, I can't believe I lost it. And I can't believe it's going to be such a balagan to try to get this back. It's chaval. He's misyayish she'eino mertzono, says the shach. It's an unfortunate situation. At the end of the day, does he give up hope? Yes. So now it becomes mutter? Yes. Once he finds out about it. But the whole story is bal karchu misyayish. So therefore we say, when you picked it up, that was in a situation where the Bailam didn't want this. It's B'Yisura. You can't you can't now rely on the Yeyush because that's a situation of Isser, of where the Bailam don't like the B'Meyekne. Ibi-Yeyush, ha'hashte einu misyayish, v'ilu abi-yoydeh, shu etzla lo misyayish. Masha'enkin hocha, came shiyadir shiyisratza over here. The Bailam's not makbid, he doesn't care. He wants this to be. Halavaya should have known that there were Rabbanim here. Halavaya would have known that you, the Aris, are hungry and you wanted something that I'm not makbid about. Of course, that would be mutter. So says the shach, that would be mutter. Lamaisa, the miniga oilam, I think, is to be makel like this shach and this ksaysa chayshin. But I think many people are chayshish for the shita of the Balei HaTosfos. But I just want to leave off with one question. Rabbi said there's a gansik sugya. We're already running late. There's a gansik sugya that the Mishnah Berurah talks about in Siman Aleph. What happens? You forgot your talis and tefillin. You forgot your lulav and esrog. So what's the din? Are you allowed to use someone else's items? So the Mishnah Berurah has all these klolim. If you put it back in the same place, you make sure, and the bailam are not there, that you can ask. He makes all these different klolim. Frektik tzois. According to the Balei HaTosfos, Mametziach of Beis. What do you mean it's usher? What's going on over here? What's the ganze sugya of nichale leinish la'avid mitzvah b'memoinei? The Gemara b'metzia nichale leinish. What nichale leinish? It's yesh shalimidas lo yava yesh. So Rabbi Yisai, I leave you off. That's a kasha the ktsois. How does Tosfos deal with that whole sugya of nichale leinish, the talis, the tefillin, the lulav, the esrog of nichale leinish la'avid mitzvah b'memoinei?